Good evening, everybody. Appreciate your attendance here today for the INDOT public hearing for the Centerville Welcome Center. My name's Steve McAvoy. I'm the statewide facilities director for INDOT. So I manage and oversee the design and construction of all of INDOT's vertical construction projects in the state. So to provide a little history, a background on the project, 6 years ago, I was asked by the commissioner of INDOT to develop a long-range plan for the reconstruction of all of INDOT's Welcome Center properties, which we have 10 across the state, along with reconstruction of many rest areas into truck parking only sites. So far, we have 2 welcome centers, 2 of the 10 that are complete, Pigeon Creek being the first one up on I-69 as you come in from Michigan, and Kankakee on I-65 as you come south out of Chicago. We have 2 under construction, Clear Creek Welcome Center on I-70 coming in out of Illinois, and Black River Welcome Center is on I-64 coming from Illinois, and 1 truck parking project in Lebanon, north of Indianapolis. So I have design members here with me today, which will all be available for project explanations. So with that, I'd like to pass it on to Elena Stoner, who is our design team environmental lead. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Good evening. Thank you all for joining us tonight. My name is Elena Stoner. I'm with Metric Environmental, and we wrote the environmental document for the project. So we'll go through the slides here. And so this slide, Mr. Steve McAvoy just spoke to you, and this is the rest of the engineering and design team that are working on the project. A legal notice announcing this hearing was published in the local Palladium Item newspaper on April 26th and again on May 3rd. The notice was also mailed to known property owners. An announcement of this hearing was also posted to the INDOT Greenfield District office on their website, announcing to everyone that the project design documents and the environmental document for the project are available online. And we also posted those materials at the Richmond Library hard copy, and also hard copy of the project materials at the Greenfield INDOT office. Basically, this is our project development process, how it starts from the beginning. Project selection, we send out early coordination letters to stakeholders, environmental agencies. We do the environmental phase of the project, develop purpose and need and alternatives. Preliminary design phase, the environmental document has been released for public involvement, and a hard copy of it is here tonight and also available on the INDOT website, and copies also at the Richmond Library and the Greenfield District office. So that's where we have the public hearing tonight. Once that document has been released for public involvement, we have the hearing as we are tonight. After the hearing, we'll have 2 weeks for additional comments to come in. All those comments will be considered and evaluated. We'll roll them into the environmental document. That'll be the project decision process. And then that document will be approved by INDOT Central Office. Project will go to letting and construction. This is the purpose and need for the project, and this information is included in the handout that you picked up tonight. Basically, it's, as Steve explained, it's to upgrade the Centerville Welcome Center and to enhance the amenities at the Welcome Center. Project cost is down here at the bottom. The preferred alternative that was chosen for the project will include the construction of a new Welcome Center building with additional amenities. And all this information, again, is in your handout packet that you received tonight. New lighting and decorative landscaping will be installed. And they'll have additional restroom for the truck drivers so they don't have to go into the welcome facility main building if they don't want to. And the sewer line connections will be tied into the town of Centerville. Reconfigured parking area will still provide the necessary and required parking spaces for trucks and passenger vehicles, as INDOT prefers as part of their comprehensive rest area truck parking plan. This is my primary responsibility for the project. Anytime there's federal funds used in a transportation project, we have to adhere to the National Environmental Policy Act, 1969, otherwise known as NEPA. And as part of this environmental documentation, again, it's part of the decision-making process to identify potential impacts to the environment and surrounding communities and make all efforts to reduce and minimize impacts. We include the purpose and need of the project, evaluation of the various alternatives that were considered, and development of the preferred alternative, and then evaluation of environmental and community resources. This project required that we do a level 3 categorical exclusion, which is what we call the environmental document that we produced for the project. That was released for public involvement on February 1st, and it's available for review at the public hearing, the INDOT website, district office, and the library. And as part of the resources that we evaluate in that document, we talk about the need for any additional right-of-way, streams, wetlands, floodplains, endangered plant animal species, parks, recreational lands, cultural resources, historical, archaeology, air quality, community impacts, public involvement. All that is documented in the draft C3. This is just basic information about the real estate acquisition process. It's a Uniform Act of 1970. It's all federal, state, local governments must comply with. And if you do need to buy additional right-of-way for the project, this is what documents the process that needs to be undertaken as far as appraisals, negotiations to purchase that property at fair market value. The existing reconstruction of the rest center will be done within the existing footprint. However, there is a 10.21 acre wooded parcel to the northeast of the existing rest area facility that will be purchased to use as part of the proposed additional recreational amenities at the facility. There won't be any temporary right-of-way required for the project. Permanent right-of-way is land purchased by INDOT from legal landowner, becomes right-of-way then owned by INDOT. Temporary right-of-way required for construction access, needs to build the project. INDOT pays a fee for use of that land during the time they need it for construction. And again, the right-of-way required for this project is a 10.21 acres. It's the wooded parcel located adjacent to the northeast corner, and it will be incorporated into the project to provide the proposed recreational amenities as part of the project. No temporary right-of-way will be required. The other alternative that was considered for the project was the do-nothing, no-build. And it's pretty straightforward as it sounds. It wouldn't require the expenditure of any state or federal funds, and there would be no environmental impacts, obviously. Alternative is feasible but not prudent because the existing conditions as described in the proposed purpose and need of the project would not be addressed. So it was determined that the do-nothing, no-build alternative would not meet the purpose and need of the project. This is a graphic displaying the existing wetlands that were identified on the site. And as part of the environmental process, those wetlands are identified and all efforts to reduce and minimize impacts to those wetlands are considered as part of the design process. And this again shows the proposed improvements, use of the existing truck parking pavement, drainage, lighting, signage, use of the geothermal energy for the building. And again, all these graphics are provided out front in the lobby. Okay. Turn it over to MTS.
Okay. Can we go back to the existing layout? Okay, one more. Okay, so this is the layout of the existing rest area facility right now. What you see is existing ramp coming in, splitting exit ramp from I-70 westbound, splitting the truck parking, the trucks go into truck parking, cars go into car parking area, and in the middle there's an existing building. No recreational amenities. There's picnic table on either side of it. Just like Galina said, all of the green areas, hatched areas that you see is existing ditches that becomes wetland, basically, right? So existing truck parking, there's 156 trucks being parked existing. And existing car parking is about 97, including the 6 handicap spaces, right? What existing parking does not provide for the truckers is that if you look at it, at the farthest point, and the truckers have to walk all the way to the building to use any of the facilities were there. Also, the existing layout requires trucker to go around the existing parking and then go back in the back and then turn around, come back again. Okay? So, because the truckers cannot come from all the way from the back, or I guess you cannot force people to it, there's a lot of trash issues all around the rest area as well. If we go to the proposed, next slide, please. So what we're doing, the proposed layout-wise. So the existing ramp from I-70 from the exit remains same. It just scooted further east. And then existing ramp, proposed ramp, it goes for the truckers. It splits in between right here in the front. There's rest a new Welcome Center building with amenities that you will hear in detail with the architects and landscaping discussions. The car parking is right in front of the the Welcome Center facility. Truck parking, the truckers go in the back of the lot, which that way they're not in conflict with any of the other traffic. We're using all of the existing pavement in the truck parking area. We're also using majority of the existing car parking ramp, exit ramp, and all of it, the entrance to the I-70, exit, entrance ramp to I-70 westbound, exiting from the Welcome Center. It's all being reused, existing pavement, with some widening that you see with the curb, center curb around it for the truckers to turn. There will be new additional trucker restrooms and a maintenance building and trash receptacles, as well as the trash bins to collect overall trash. It's in the middle of the truck parking area there. And also the maintenance building will be close to with the Welcome Center and the recreational facilities there. As part of this project, we'll improve the drainage within the area. Even though we're improving the drainage within the parking lot area, we are not changing the existing drainage entrance and exit points. There will be a proposed ditch that picks up where the trail is and runs along the exit ramp and continue going to I-70. Basically, it will connect here again. It just rerouted from that point to come back to here. There is no change in the existing drainage pattern. As part of this project, there will be new lighting and ITS compatible with the latest INDOT and environmental guidelines, which require certain height of the light poles. It will be a standard INDOT light poles will be installed as opposed to current high mast lights. They will be removed. There will not be any high mast. And also improved light bulbs, and the lights will be used. That will decrease the light pollution. New signing and pavement markings will be installed. As part of the overall project, the recreational facility, you see the trail layout, the proposed recreational trail through the wooded areas. The only area that's being disturbed, it's a 10-foot wide trail. And the only area that's being disturbed, the trees being disturbed, is for that trail at the existing ground elevation only. There is no additional trees being removed other than the construction. So all of the majority of the existing trees, rather, would be maintained, and that provides better recreational amenity through the woods. As part of this project, also we're being creative and using the geothermal energy for the building as part of building energy, as a heating and air conditioning, electrical and all that. So the geothermal fields will be installed between these ramps, the truck parking and the car parking exit ramp, as well as between the car parking ramp and the I-70 westbound. So there will be geothermal energy being used as part of this project. So proposed parking, we're matching the existing truck parking as 156. Proposed will be 156 as well. We're maintaining that. Proposed car parking will be 54. That will be enough for to meet the INDOT long-range welcome centers and rest area improvement needs, to provide 54, including 4 handicap spaces, and also it provides a lot more amenities that currently it lacks. With that, to go further in detail about the amenities and further architectural details about how we came about the theme for the architectural theme for the project and landscaping, I will pass this on to Mike.
Thanks, Imtiaz. Could you back up one slide? Yeah, to the previous one. The site plan. Right there. Just to give you a little bit of orientation, as Imtiaz mentioned, the new building location is in the lower right. So you'd be coming westbound on I-70 and get off the ramp, and the building would be relocated to that location, so it would face towards the visitors. Okay, next slide. So this is kind of a final version of what this rest stop is proposed to look like. So if you could go one more slide. As Mr. McAvoy mentioned, the state is building 10 of these at entrances to the state of Indiana. And while the main function of this rest stop is the very functional and necessary truck parking, visitor parking, restrooms, and things like that, there's the new visitor center building that gives an opportunity for the state of Indiana to allow visitors to our state understand a little bit about what it means to be a Hoosier. And each one of the 10 visitor centers have a unique theme. And after a lot of thought, the theme for this visitor center is to help visitors get to know what it means to be a Hoosier through high school and Indiana basketball. So one of the things we thought about was, well, what does it mean to, what is Indiana basketball architecture like? And up on the screen, you can see some of the ones that we all probably have the most familiarity with. There's the Memorial Hall Fieldhouse in Lebanon, where the movie Hoosiers was actually partially shot. Hinkle Fieldhouse, which all know that from Butler University, Gamebridge Center, and and on. So from this, next slide. We went through and said, okay, what are some of these building materials that kind of feel historic and come from these buildings? And it's exposed steel structure, the trusses that you're all familiar with if you've walked into some of these old buildings. Masonry, they're usually made out of brick and limestone, and they have those great hardwood floors. And they usually have quite a bit of glass, especially a lot of them did, to let natural light in. So we kind of blended these ideas together to come up with the shape and the idea that as you approach the building, something striking. And these arenas, these basketball buildings, they're kind of in-your-face buildings. They're loud and they're lively, and they're intended to be something kind of bold. So if you go to the next slide. So this became the shape of the visitor center. Took the large trusses, which you saw in a lot of buildings, including many of the contemporary buildings. the glass, the transparency, and then the brick material. And next slide. And this will be kind of the view as you're coming off the ramp, you know, the view of the building. And a lot of transparency, and then it gives an opportunity to hang memorabilia inside. You might envision jerseys and you know, much like you might see or banners, much like you might see inside of a historic high school gymnasium. Next slide. Looking at it from the backside, you can see the brick portion of the building houses a lot of the functional components, the restrooms, the storage for vending, and all of the mechanical systems. Very standard construction there. And to the right, you can see one of the picnic areas. There's a couple of areas for people that would get out, and want to have eat outside and take a walk around the site, as well as some of the playground areas. Next slide. As you walk into the building, it has some covering to protect people and give you a sense of enclosure. Next slide. And kind of the final. This is the truckers' restrooms. And as MTI's mentioned, they're located away from the main building, but with access. Pretty standard construction, very durable materials to last a very long time. Next slide. I think that's it. Oh, excuse me. The floor plan of the building, the bottom part is facing southeast, so that's facing the off-ramp. So you'd come into the building. There's a vestibule along the south or southeast side of it. And as you come into the building, you walk across a floor that simulates a basketball floor. The flooring is a very durable terrazzo product, a lot like you see in school buildings. It can last a very long time. And that space gives an opportunity for telling the story of Indiana basketball through memorabilia, banners on the wall. So, you know, somebody visiting would, you know, we get a chance to show off a little bit in terms of what Indiana basketball really means. And, you know, part of the reason basketball was selected was partially because on the eastern side of Indiana, in this area, there's Newcastle, Richmond. You know, the I-70 corridor has a lot of the old-time North Central Conference high school teams that built a lot of the tradition of Indiana high school basketball. And then the northern part of it, or northwestern part of it, you can see the restrooms and all of the service components of it. Next slide. A view from the inside, kind of up in the rafters, so to speak, looking down at the floor. And the floor would actually be made, I mentioned it would be made out of terrazzo. Next slide. Another view looking up. The ceiling would be a wood deck with a lot of glass, tinted glass, very energy efficient. Next slide. Just some more interior views. And with that, I'm going to pass over to Keith to talk about some of the site amenities.
Thanks, Mike. So a lot of the site amenities are complementing what's happening inside the building on the exterior. So this is just a overall site plan that we've seen previously, but in color, showing where the building welcome center will be located and some of the amenities around it. So we can go to the next slide, which zooms in more. So as you come in, you saw from some of those renderings, there'll be a welcome plaza with two 12-foot tall sculptures of Mr. and Mrs. High School basketball representing them. There'll be a grove of trees, a lot of soft landscaping material, places to sit, relax. As you go into the building, there'll be a dog park in the lower kind of left corner there, right corner. Up above, we have a playground where we'll have a basketball, quad basketball like at the Children's Museum in Indianapolis has. And there'll actually be basketballs out there. So if kids want to play or families want to take a break and play basketball, they can. There'll be swing sets. There'll be large play climbing structures. There'll be adult fitness, exercise bikes, equipment. There'll be a picnic shelter, as Mike mentioned, 2 picnic shelters, and then the trail that goes up into the north into the woods. We'll also have lots of places for people to sit, drinking fountains, really trying to get people to get outside, engage with the outdoor activities and the amenities. And then this is a massive site, and so a lot of the actual landscape material that's going down will be native prairie. So we're kind of restoring what was once there. We're adding lots of new trees, a lot of native trees. So this site is really about kind of reforesting where we can, bringing in new native meadows to bring back what used to be there with the ecology, and then providing visitors a lot of amenities for the outside area. So that's with the outside area. I'll pass it on now.
Project schedule. Tonight, obviously, May 16th is the public hearing that we're having right now. And as part of the hearing tonight, as part of your information packet, there is a comment form in there that you can leave any comments with us tonight. There's additional comment sheets out there on the table. You can take additional comment sheets home with you. We just ask that you please send those back in to us by May 31st. Everything needs to be at least postmarked by May 31st. But at least you have multiple ways to comment. You can make written comments tonight. You can take the comment sheets home with you and mail those in later, at least by May 31st. All those comments will be given equal consideration, regardless of how you make them, whether you write them out tonight, put them in the mail, or make verbal comments tonight here at the hearing. That is also an opportunity as well to make comments. And once we get those comments in, evaluate them, the designers will take all those comments into consideration. Those will be incorporated into my draft environmental document and part of the public record of comments and the presentation that we had here tonight. And then the environmental document will be approved with all the public information in there that we presented here tonight in comments. The proposed construction for the project is fall 2024 to fall 2026. And at that time, the Welcome Center will be closed to motorists, and there will be advanced signage put up on 70 westbound alerting motorists that the Welcome Center will be closed during that construction time period. So as I just described, public comment options, you can write them here and leave them. There is a plastic tub out there on the table. You can also submit your comments via email to the project team members, MTAS and Mr. McAvoy over here. Verbal comments will be accepted at the hearing, and also MTAS and Mr. McAvoy's email addresses are in your information packet as well. We just request that those comments be submitted by May 31st, and all those comments will be documented as the official public record and rolled into the environmental document. And as I explained, all comment options are equally considered and evaluated. Project resource locations, again, as I mentioned in the beginning, all these project materials that we've covered tonight are still available for your review until May 31st during that 2-week comment period after tonight. And again, the INDOT project webpage from the Greenfield District has all this information. The hard copies are also available at their district office in Greenfield and at the Morrison Reeves Library in Richmond. And again, contact information for our presenters tonight is included in your information packet. And yeah, I think that kind of concludes it. At this point, I think we had one individual who'd like to make a verbal comment. Is that at this time? Okay. If you wouldn't mind just stating your name for the record. Thank you.
I'm Bradley Wood. I'm a property owner to the east of it, beyond the dirt pile and beyond the field. On this handout, I noticed that it said that the $42 million would be both federal and state funded. On your initial slide, you said 100% federally funded. I was just wondering, what's some of the breakdown of that funding?
It is 100% federal funding.
Okay. Also in this handout, you mentioned that it's 0.697 acres of permanent wetlands will be impacted. Is there any way of part of this project that money would go towards creating 0.697 acres of permanent wetland somewhere in east central Indiana?
Yes. So it's part of the environmental permit requirements. We are So to answer your question about wetland mitigation, so as part of the wetland permit mitigation permit requirement, we are required to compensate for the wetland that's been disturbed here, and there will be a wetland mitigation bank that will be used to preserve this disturbed wetlands.
Will that take place in Wayne County or another location in Indiana?
I'm not sure that that's been determined.
Okay.
Exactly, but that would be within the closed, within the I would say allowed area within the Indiana Department of Environmental Management oversee that, and within their jurisdiction, within the allowable area, that wetland would be restored. Also, if you look at can we go back to the proposed park payment layout slide? So the existing ditch is a wetland, and that's it. So what you see the wetland here, right?
Yeah.
That's what's being disturbed as part of the project. Okay. So we're creating a new ditch. So the existing ditch is a flat, this elevation and that elevation, we're not changing anything. We're just putting a new ditch that's wider, bigger here.
Okay.
And that becoming also a wetland. So on top of mitigating the wetland, someplace else, we're also creating for the future additional wetlands.
Okay.
That will be more than what's being disturbed.
Okay. And also for the tree removal for the trail, you said that the trail is 10 feet wide. I would assume heavy equipment having to move all of that debris. Will they be staying all on that 10-foot path and trying to get all the trees and the limbs out? Like how would they be able to stay on a 10-foot wide path that's all curvy with the heavy equipment?
Okay, so the heavy equipment will be used, but you realize this is just a sidewalk being constructed, right?
Okay.
It's a walking trail. There is no motorized vehicle allowed on that.
Okay.
So we call it pedestrian, I would say recreational amenity. It's a 10-foot wide sidewalk, basically.
And then I also saw on the handout 3.6 acres of trees. Will you guys be planting 3.6 acres of trees to offset what you removed from the trail path?
You saw as many trees being planted, so many of them, including the front, as well as all around the welcome center areas. So it'll be, all efforts will be made to disturb as little trees, and we have a construction limit set even for this ditch, and as many trees. So our contract requirements for the construction would be to not disturb any trees outside the construction limits, and then where possible, we will be able to plant the trees all along.
Okay. If you need any suggestions, I'd recommend along the entrance ramp, so it blocks my view of the highway with the loud sound. With they're eventually going to be building 3 lanes of traffic both ways, which is really loud right now. I do appreciate the lower lights, so there should be less light pollution. I was wondering what fencing is going to be in place to keep these residents on the property, because currently there is a potential trespassing issue that's currently taking place, and I was wondering, is it going to be like a 4-foot fence that a deer or a person can hop over, or how, especially with the walking trail being sort of out of the main view of everything?
It's a 48-inch chain link fence, new fence will be installed. Okay. All along the right-of-way, which nobody should be jumping in 4-foot. Well, if somebody's using the trail, which is the fence is going to go along the right-of-way line, not at the trail. Right-of-way line is further out. So
around the trail, there's not going to be a fence around the border of the trail? Like at the edge of the
not
property?
at the border of the trail. It's further out in the trail. It's still covering the fence area.
Okay.
Yeah, we have the drawings, and I can walk you through the drawings so that you know. The right-of-way line is further out. Can we go one slide back? Okay, so you see that, those existing trail, right, existing fence?
Yeah.
That's where the new fence would go, and this outside is right by that tree line outside, and then the trail is somewhere in the middle right there.
Okay, so
They would have to go through, if you're talking about it, concerned about the trespassing, they would have to go through the wooded area and then go jump the fence for the trespassing issue.
okay. Yeah, and then the final concern I have is, so my pond is spring fed from that. I don't know the exact trajectory of it, but I'm assuming that the green area that the trail goes around supplies underground my upper pond, and I use that upper pond to with a ram pump to gravity feed water over 700 feet to my high tunnel, and then I also use it to water my animals in the back. Is there any contingency plan or agreement that would be able to be met that if after the construction of this project, I see like a large decrease of water volume in that, that could potentially create issues with my animals not being able to, I raise sheep and a dairy cow and chickens, and I don't have any permanent source of water back there, but I've been utilizing the natural resources that have occurred on my property and are treasured value.
Okay, so to answer your question on that, we are not disturbing the wetland that what you're concerned about in the middle. So the water source, if it was going all over a building, is a sidewalk basically. No other improvements being done that, including the drainage improvements, we're not touching anything. So it's any source of water that was draining before, underground, we're not changing anything, we're not altering any resources. Hopefully if that answered any other question.
So who would be the department that I would contact if after the construction of this project and I notice the water decreasing, even if you guys didn't touch anything, but like unusual level decrease?
The water table can change anytime, as everybody knows, and underground water, we can't, I don't know how anybody would guarantee that.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone, any other speaker we may have for today?
Maybe you can hear me, or do you want me to come up there?
If you'd like to come up here.
I just wondered, was there any thought to, are you going to bird net off those eating things so you don't have birds pooping on your nice picnic benches? Yeah. Hi, I'm Mindy. I was just, quick question on the picnic area. Did you consider bird netting or anything so that when you don't have resident birds sitting and spoiling all the fun, if you get what I'm saying?
Very good question. So when we built the Kankakee Welcome Center on I-65, some of our light fixtures and our structures allowed some roosting. So we understand the problem and we rectified it there. So I've asked my designers to make sure that we eliminate, as much of that roosting potential as possible. So, and if we see it, we will address it during the construction process.
Are you guys going to have cameras out there watching the lot?
No, we don't have security cameras at any rest area property across the state. We will have 24/7 property management at this facility. Right now, it just has a janitorial staff, but we are transitioning at all Welcome Center properties that are reconstructed to go full property management. So there will be more people there daily.
Yeah, I work there.
You go. Any other questions?
There's a camera there on the property.
Yeah, we don't have any active security cameras on the property.
So it's not active?
Most likely not, right?
Okay, so are they going to put lighting in the path in the woods?
There'll be lighting, correct?
Okay.
Yeah.
So if there's a person living in there right now, and that's kind of they're not supposed to be in there.
Right.
What happens is that they just move on to the next woods.
Yeah, it's tricky.
Stuff out of the woods and trespassing and going across other people's properties. And there's a hole in the fence right across that land bridge that people are going in and out of. So they've already determined they need to be in there.
Well, as MTI said, we're going to install new right-of-way privacy fence, a chain link fence.
How tall is the fence?
It's 48 inches.
And will that go all the way around the woods?
It'll go all the way around our property, right? And again, it keeps honest people honest, right?
Right, but if we're being honest, nobody talked about the huge pile of dirt they put to the east of the wetlands from the first time they built this in 2008. We just didn't talk about that. That's convenient. Well, why don't we just get rid of that big pile of dirt? Do you think it's affecting any of the wildlife?
It's a good question. Any other questions? All righty.
This is a welcome center to Indiana, not a welcome center to Centerville, because actually if you're going to it, you're leaving Centerville.
Yeah, all of the welcome centers are gateways into Indiana on the various interstate corridors, correct? So, I was asked, 7 years ago to create destinations for the traveling public, right? Not just rest areas where people can stop and use the restroom, but actual destinations where people can come and be engaged with recreational activity. John Patton over here, is our exhibit designer. There will be a lot of, interactive exhibits in the building to learn about the history of Indiana or high school basketball. A lot more opportunities to learn about the state and the region than what we had before.
So for additional questions and comments, we will appreciate if you can take the handouts or you have the contact information. Please provide your comment in writing. We'll be out there for a few minutes outside if you want to look at any plans in details. But other than that, we really appreciate you coming in tonight and making your comments, suggestions, and we look forward to some comments in writing from you. Email us, mail us. We're open for suggestions. And all of those comments, just like it's been said before, I'll repeat again, they will all be given equal consideration. We appreciate you all coming here. Thanks, and have a good evening.